Hi friends, Frank Engelbrecht from Windhoek here again. Thanks for dropping by, thanks for listening. Today we're going to talk about part 2 of our secrets of happiness. Last time we defined happiness as an reaction, a spiritual, a physical, an emotional reaction to internal and external factors. If I remember correctly, that was about it. It was happiness as an intellectual, emotional, physical, and a spiritual response to internal and external factors. Okay, so today we're going to look at the first of those factors, the physical one. What physical factors are contributing to making us happy? Okay, so first one, make peace with your appearance of your body. Wow, I think we understand when we were adolescents in high school, that was a big deal for us, isn't it? But as we mature, we are supposed to make peace with our appearance and understand. That's why we could make peace, to understand I may not be the prettiest or the strongest or the whatever appearance factor you would like to list, but it is not the outer looks that is more important than the inner being. It's who we are inside, our personality, our spiritual mindset, our spiritual beliefs. That's what's making us beautiful, interesting, lovable. You can be not so beautiful, but a very lovable person because you have spiritual love in you. You have spiritual, God's unconditional love, okay, in you. And that'll make you beautiful. But you got to understand that. If you don't know God, then this is, of course, is not an option that you understand. But if you have God in your life, then this is the good news, that you are more important to God as you can imagine. And it's not about what other people think of you or like of you or think you are beautiful. It's having a relationship with God. That's the most important thing, and that will make you beautiful, even if you are physically not so beautiful. Okay, that's very important. Accept that you can't live out your instinctive desires like an animal. You will understand that if we say our spiritual dimension is the highest dimension of our humanity, of our nature, then the highest dimension has an influence on all these 4 dimensions, the physical, the intellectual, the emotional. It has an influence on all of these dimensions, although we're going to have a physical category later on, a spiritual category, to explain it in a bit more detail. But your spiritual being has an influence on every dimension of your being, of your humanity. So accept that you can't live out your instincts like an animal. If you're a spiritual being, that means you gotta have self-control, and you gotta have discipline, and you gotta be smart enough to stay away from temptations. And in the thing that most people will think and say, oh, physical happiness, oh yeah, sex, right? Sex. If I could have as much sex, then that'll make me happy. No, it won't. You will be surprised. You will soon discover, if you are in that situation, that it is not enough to make you really happy, because that is a physical pleasure, and the physical pleasure and joy, a physical pleasure part is not that powerful to make you really deeply, deeply happy. It's like money, We think if we are stinking rich and we could do what we want and buy what we want and go where we want, then we will be happy. And once again, yeah, sure, you can say you don't believe it, but you will have to try that and prove and find out for yourself if you don't believe it. Money and sex will not be your final greatest pleasure, or not pleasure, will not be your greatest happiness in life, because happiness is a more deep-seated being function, a mindset, a spiritual beliefs function that's making us happier than everything else. Because happiness on a spiritual basis will contribute things that you can't buy and that you can't get in any other way than in that spiritual manner. So, physical factor. Protect your health. Oh, so important. Yeah, good eating. Understand what you eat, what you put in, what nutritions you need. Obesity is the modern illness. It's the modern illness because we don't have the self-control to discipline us to don't eat more than the body really needs. We eat because it's so lekker, it's so nice, it's fun. And in the end, we sit with a body that's killing us, and we are in deep trouble. And then you have a battle, very uphill battle to beat that. Protect your health, very important. You know that stress through different factors influencing our lives, the worries included, and not eating well and not doing exercises to get the stress out of the body. Stress is responsible for 87% of all our illnesses. Can you believe that? 87% of all our illnesses is based upon the effects of stress on a continuous basis. Right? This is incredible. So I think we will have to talk about stress sometimes in the future. Ne? What are the symptoms? How do I prevent it? How can I actually manage the stress if it jumps on me? I think we should talk about that at some point, because 87% of our illnesses comes from the stress effects. All right. So a last one on the physical side. Make time for fun activities, leisure activities, so that can also help to break down your stress and you can have fun with family and friends. The connection with other people is a very important part of making us happy. And we got to balance our priorities between work, wife and kids, work and family, and spiritual living. We gotta take the responsibility to balance. This rushing mode of modern life is killing us because it's creating enormous amounts of stress, which is killing us. We gotta go and sit down and say, no. This is not the way to live. This rushing must stop. I must be cool and calm and collected. And some things I gotta do, and some things I don't have to do. I don't have to do all the things that you're doing, but you gotta go and sit and decide what can you do to stop the rushing and have a calmer life and a more relaxed life and still do the important work that you gotta do. Okay, next factor, 8 minutes. Next factor, emotional factors. The emotional factors, of course, have honest friendships. You know, one thing I admire about the women in the world, they are very clever. I almost want to say they are a bit cleverer than the men, because they have friends and they talk to the friends. They share their worries, their pains, their fears, you know, their anxieties. They talk about their problems and what they experience, and everybody chips in and say, what about this? Have you tried this? And in the end, they feel better. Men don't do that. We don't share our problems. We are tough, you know. We don't have problems, which is not true. We do have problems. We just don't share it with male friends. And we go and sit at the bar and have a braai and drink and it doesn't help any of the problems. It doesn't help. It doesn't do any good. The problems don't go away if you drink too much. You just have one more problem. That's a big babalas. Okay, so I think our men should try a bit different things to get us emotionally happy. And friendships, change in the nature of friendships, I think will be a good idea. So you got to make time to find the right partner for you in life. I've compiled a document with the top 40 questions for selecting a marriage partner, but we will get later on. We'll do a video on that. But for now, it's very important that you take enough time to make very sure that you select the right marriage partner, because if you don't, it's an option for life mostly, and if you got to get out of it, it's very painful, it's very expensive, and it's very long time you take to heal. So it's better to take time and not to be in too much of a hurry, and take the time to make sure you understand the person that you would like to marry. Okay. Then, very important also, you gotta be mature enough to accept your responsibilities. Now that sounds way wrong, isn't it? You must accept responsibilities so that you can be happy. You know, if you are not accepting responsibilities, you think just going around and having parties and having sex will be the ultimate happiness life. No, it won't. Because responsibilities is giving you meaning in life, apart from your spiritual values that's giving you meaning in life. So if you don't have responsibilities, if you don't mature and grow up, then you are not having meaning in life, you know. Parties and parties and parties is not producing a meaningful life. Then, don't have a lot of time, so let's cut to the last one. You got to deal with your emotions effectively. You got to learn how to manage your emotions. You got to learn, if I feel I would like to buy it, I must manage the desire with my logical emotion and say, but can I really afford that? You know, can I really afford that? Is it a need, or is my desire a want or a need? All right. The wants are the things that we want, but it's not necessarily crucial to have it. It's luxury. So you got to manage your emotions with your logical thinking before you start buying and spend more money than you actually have, and then you are in trouble. Okay, the last one is watch out for envy, jealousy, competitiveness, and pride. Those kind of desires are actually evil-based, and it's not a spiritual sound feeling that you are. If you are feeding those feelings of jealousy and competitiveness and pride, you will end up in a lot of problems, because they are evil-based desires. And that's why we got to control that and cut them out of our lives. And don't compare ourselves with others, because then you start to become jealous, you know. Then you start to have envy. Then you want to compete. Then you want to be the best. And those desires are not going to make you happy unless you deal with them and put them in their place. Okay, unfortunately, this is it. Our time is way up. See you next time on the final part 3 on taking on the last section of our spiritual dimension that's causing our secrets of happiness, providing the secrets for our happiness, right? See you next time, and be happy until then.